Shalom Elakim Yisrael. Yehonathan Dawid with here humbly so on Yahweh for Hebrews and Christians. Continuing our Bamil Otah Shali series in his own words. Very long series, over a year long. We're on episode number 61. But we are in the final few days of Hamashiach's ministry on this earth. We're still on Tuesday, but we're going to finish out Tuesday morning today. Last week, talking about, again, the lessons of the fig tree. Today's episode to be released on February the 4th, 2024, the year of their Lord. No one knows that day or hour. No one knows that day or hour. But in review of last week, again, this because of the importance of this fig tree, we keep going back to it. Keep being referenced. We're going to try to put some more clarity on even another parable of the fig tree. But last week we learned that the fig tree buds is a very sign of the Yahweh Shua to come, because we know it buds in the spring, where we know Yahweh Shua, and who is the Pesach, was sacrificed in the spring. We know that he cursed the fig tree, reading the narrative in Mark 11, 12 to 14, because it had breba on it. B-R-E-B-A. I asked you all to look that up. So it's not that it was cursed because it had no fruit. It was cursed because it should have had fruit. It should have had fruit, and it should have been fruitful, which is the first command given by Yahweh to the creation. We said, be fruitful and multiply. After he created everything, it is the first and only command that was given. And we know that Yisrael is one of the symbols of Israel is the fig tree. And you can go to Hosea chapter 9 verse 10, Jeremiah 8 verse 13, Micah 4:4. You can even read the entire chapter of Jeremiah 24 as a few reference points. So this tree indeed was cursed. It was in a town called Bethphage, which means house of unripe figs. So we taught here that indeed this was a stronghold. Where this was. This is the tree, the very tree that was before the tree of life. It is the fig tree that Adam and Mother Hawa used the leaves of to cover themselves. We know Yahweh Shua, indeed, he died on the tree of life. He is the vine, the pleasant vine that was wrapped around the tree of life. He is the tree of knowledge that was wrapped around the tree of life. And he died on that tree, he and the two murderers opposite of him. And down the hill of the Mount of Olives was this fig tree that later Yehuda, Judas Iscariot, hung himself on. And then, of course, he rotted throughout the entire week of the Passover, because no one was able to touch him lest they be defiled during this so-called holy day. And he fell headlong into the water, and the tree is totally dried up and no more. Now, there is another parable of a fig tree that's important, because again, it represents Israel. Luke 13, 6 through 9. Luke 13, 6 through 9. And it reads, a certain man had a fig tree planted in the vineyard, and he came seeking fruit on it and found none. Then he said to the keeper of his vineyard, look, for 3 years I have come seeking fruit on this tree and find none. Cut it down. Why does it use up the ground? But he answered and said to him, sir, let alone this year also, until I dig around it and fertilize it. And if it bears fruit, well, but if not, after that, you can cut it down. So we have here is a different parable, and in this case, the man who is the owner is Yahweh, and the keeper of the vineyard is Yahweh Shua. The tree is Yisrael. 3 is the day. Hey, 3, we know how the significance of 3, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. 3 days belly in the whale, 3 days in the grave, and Yahweh Shua raises up. His ministry is 3 years long. His appearing, his birth on earth came after the 3rd day of the world's existence. or the third day of creation. So we see all the symbolisms here, and Yahweh indeed seeks to rescue this tree. It doesn't say whether it end how it ended. Was Yisrael cut down or not? Well, that's going to lead us into what the topic of today. No one knows that day or hour. And that brings us to Matthew 24:36. That's going to be the narrative we're going to go by here. We're still on Tuesday morning. A whole lot happening on this Tuesday. But we're going to finish out today of this Tuesday morning. Matthew 24. And we're going to pick up this narrative of the verse 36. And it reads thusly. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the Malachim of Hashemayim, but Ma'ab only. So this he spoke after talking about the parable of the fig tree being a sign that summer is near, which means it's currently spring and summer is near. So he's talking about the signs, yet he's saying of that very day, he's talking about that exact day, no one's going to know it. And we've had so many false prophets over these last 2,000 years trying to predict a day, and they all have been shamefaced in doing so. And it's clearly goes against the Torah, goes against the word of Yahweh when he says you cannot do that. But we're going to find out from Yahweh's own mouth, Belial Tashali, of when that time is going to be, the exact time, and what is really meant by that. Now, we're going to pick up, stay here in Matthew 24, go to the next verse. We're going to read from 37 to 43. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay? He just said you don't know the day, but he's going to go in and get a little detail. He says it's going to be like the days of Noah. That is when the Son of Man is going to be. Because in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will be the coming of the Son of Man. Hallelujah. Then two men will be. Now let's give him more. Now he's going to give even more detail in here. And he says, then 2 men will be in the field, and one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding in the mill. One will be taken and the other left. Watch, therefore, because you do not know what hour the master is coming. Wow. But know this, okay, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour you do not expect. Now, a whole lot of keys here. A whole lot of keys. And one of the ways, the things about this ministry of Yahweh Hebrews and Christians, the original word gives you original truth. Well, we're going to look at a little bit of Greek today. Now, we know what happened in the days of Noah. No one after, I think it was like 120 years of Noah building this ark, and they had that sign right there that this world was going to end, but no one followed it. No one saved Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and then the week before the end of the world, they got 3 wives. I believe they were daughters of Methuselah, if I'm not mistaken. So they get these 3 wives who get saved the week before. They're saved by marrying Noah's 3 sons. What we have here is the world continued doing what it was doing. And it was a wicked world, an evil world, eating of blood and murder and adultery and frolicking. They were building. They were marrying. Nothing changed. The whole world was full. The earth was vomit of the sinfulness going on. Now, Yahweh says to watch. This is Greek word 1097. And the word is genoseko. And what it means is to recognize, perceive, or to ascertain. To realize. So what Yahushua is saying is we need to recognize, perceive, ascertain, realize, just like looking at that fig tree and seeing that it is fruiting, that you know that summer is near. You're currently in spring, summer is the season is about to change. And you know this by recognizing, perceiving, ascertaining, and realizing about what's happening in your environment. Then he says a word that is commonly misunderstood. The parousia. The parousia, which LKJV talks about his coming. This is not the coming where every eye will see him when the dome is rolled away, the heavens open up, and then he's coming with all these Malachim. This is not what the narrative is speaking about here. Yahushua is speaking in Matthew 24. This parousia is not the coming of power and lightning from east to the west and all that. This word technically is a technical word of an official's personal appearance. Obviously, Yahushua is the official, and this appearing of the Son of Man is to you. Each individual soul will not know when that appearing of Yahushua will be. Now, the world has, they use this as the Grim Reaper. Well, you know what? Maybe indeed this will be the Grim Reaper to he whose heart is frolicking like they were in the days of Noah. Then to them that parousia indeed will be like the Grim Reaper. But to she who has their oil lamps lit and full and ready, we're going to talk about that, it is not a Grim Reaper. It is indeed the face of Yahushua. That's a great day. That's a great day. And happy is he who, when that appearing happens, that Yahweh finds him so doing of his commandment. What was that first commandment? Be fruitful, multiply. Multiplying in the gifts that he's given you. And we're going to talk about that. This all goes into a circle. You have to read these things deeper than what you see it surfacely. He uses also a word about being awake. That is Greek word 1127. Gregorio. Gregorio. That means to awake, alive, particularly at a time of safety. Normally we go to sleep at night, and we don't go to sleep fearful. Our doors are locked, the lights, outside lights are on. We feeling safe, and we get under our warm covers, and we go to sleep. Well, this word, Gregorio, is about being awake and alive, being on the ready, particularly at a time when it's thought to be a safe time. So we got three words here. Genoseko, which means to recognize, perceive, ascertain, and realize. Greek word 1097. And then parousia is Greek word 3952. And that word is, I really want you to know, that's his personal appearance to you, to each soul at their time of judgment or their time of eternal life. And then Gregorio, this is the state that we're supposed to be in before that appearing. We're at a state of readiness even at a time when they say peace and safety. Going back to that verse 43 of Matthew 24. I'm going to read that again. And it reads, but know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would have come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Not the day, the hour. So he's making it he's narrowing, making it more precise. But what happens is, the strong man gets weary and tired and does not stay alert throughout the entire time period. This is the common theme. We are supposed to know the proximate time, but not the very hour. This is where diligence and perseverance comes in. Okay? Think about, this takes us back to Matthew 12:29. When Yahushua talks about the strong man having his house broken into, and the strong man is bound. And when he is bound, then Yahushua plunders his house. I love that. Yahushua is actually saying, you know what? See, the strong man is Hasatan, but Yahushua is a stronger man than even he, because what he does is he bounds Hasatan, and then he plunders his house. This is Yahushua. After the resurrection of that third day, he overcame death, Hades, and the grave. What he did was, Yahushua indeed came up after that third day, because death, Hades, and grave had no power over him. He was perfect. He did nothing wrong. It could not keep him down there. He did not go to perdition. He came up. When he did this, he claimed the last enemy, which was death, and he snatched victory out of the jaws of defeat. Yahushua indeed is the strong man who bound the strong man, Hasatan. Yahushua is the stronger man, and he plundered his home, and he salvaged us. He took us out of it. He took us out of this home. So I love this. This is Yahushua in a way talking smack. Talking smack how he being a stronger man than Hasatan. Hasatan wasn't ready for this butt whipping. Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. Now, let's go to Luke 21. I love that one. Luke 21, we're going to go to 34 to 36. And this is about the importance of watching. And remember, this watching is genoseko, recognizing, perceiving, or ascertaining. But then we have a particular kind of watching, Gregory Uo, which is when you are awake and alive. You know, when you go to sleep, one of the metaphors of being asleep is being dead. Okay, when you sleep, you're dead. You even get rigor mortis in your bones, in your muscles. But what it's saying is, at that particular time, being vigilant, at a time when you really should be relaxed and sleeping. Now, the importance of watching. But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with carousing, drunkenness, and cares of this life, and that day come on you unexpectedly, because it will as a snare on all those who live on the face of the earth. Wow. Why is it for those who live on the whole face of the earth? That's important. Okay, because we hear that in Revelations. Verse 36. Watch therefore and pray always, that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Wow, we got a lot here to talk to. Now, what this is talking about is the importance of to turn. When you talk about not just watching, but to turn and lean into, to pay attention to lean forward, to go forward, to lean into, Yahushua is telling us. And in verse 35, this word snare on those who live on the earth, well, that immediately your mind should think about the book of Revelations, because 7 times Yachanan talks about judgment falling on those who live on the earth. 7 times. So what is this about those who live on the earth, when also you have the remnant on earth at the same time? Well, obviously there's a difference between being alive on the earth and living on the earth. Those who live on the earth are the seed of Hasatan. Because those are the ones who want to maintain what's going on the earth. Those are the ones who want to continue what's happening on earth. Those are the ones who want the earth to benefit, because they benefit from the benefits of the earth. Those who are alive on the earth, we don't benefit from these things on this earth. Those who live on the earth, who say peace and safety from their self-righteousness and their laws and in their wealth and their idolatry. These are the ones who, just like in the days of Noah, are enjoying and reveling in their success and their growth on the earth. And Yahweh says this is going to be a snare. The ability, the conveniences of the world is going to be a snare. And right now we have to be particularly careful of that, because we are enjoying the convenience of the earth. I mean, we have we have jobs, we pay our taxes, and we get roads done. We watch TV, we go out, we come in. We are the ones that really need to be leaning into and paying attention and giving heed and be ready. This is going to lead us to these. We're going to finish up with these three parables, but we're not going to linger long because we've dealt with these parables in Matthew 25 more extensively. But we're just going to mention them briefly here today about this leaning in and paying attention. This is for Yisrael. Because one of the common misconceptions about these parables was about the 10 virgins, the 5 talents that were given, the talents that were given to these 3 men, and about the sheep and the goats. We keep thinking this is Yahweh's people against the world's people, where you can easily identify it for yourself. No, but that's not the case. What the case is that we have all so-called saved people. Okay? All so-called saved people. These are all so-called Hebrew Israelites. This is what we have here. And this is what we want to, and I talked about this, and we want to try to clarify that again today. We're not talking about something that you can easily discern. Well, those are Catholics, they are the mark of the beast, they're not following this word, and then you're going to delineate them. Those are Muslims, they call on Allah. No. These parables are dealing with Yahweh's identified people. That is what the deception is. Hasatan already has those who live on the earth. So that's not the target audience. The target audience against the elect of Yahweh. Yahweh sure says if those times weren't shortened, even we could be deceived. Now, in that parable of the 10 virgins, Matthew 25, 1 to 13, we find out that we have 10 women. They're all of virgins. So we don't have, the narrative does not go 10 virgins and 10 whores. They're all virgins. That means they are all chosen. These are all representing Yisrael. This is Yahweh's called out ones. And then we found out that 5 of them, though, ended up not making it in. Why did they not make it in? And another thing we find out, that they all was waiting for the groom. So you got 10 virgins, that's what you're supposed to be. So that's righteousness. They were virgins. And number 2, they were all waiting for the groom. That's who they're supposed to be waiting for. So they were virgins, they were in the right place and waiting for the right person. Well, that's 3 for 3. They do what they're supposed to do. And they're where they're supposed to be and waiting for who they're supposed to wait for. On the outside, looks like we got 10 women waiting to go into the wedding feast. That's what it looks like. And we were to be the judge. But Yahweh knows the heart. And what he did was he used an apparent delay to filter out on the outside what he sees that we see from what's on the inside that only he can see. And in that waiting, we see who had a true relationship with Yahweh. Because the other 5 had to go back into the world and do what? Buy more oil. What is a sign of the mark of the beast? Being able to buy and sell. The convenience of the world is the mark of the beast. That's the world. They went out to buy more oil. Now the other 5, they were prepared. They had discernment and they had Gary Guru. They were awake and alive. They were always, even though when it was past the time of sleep, they all nodded off, the record says, but 5 of them were still on the ready. They were on the ready, just like when Gideon had the soldiers, where they all got thirsty and they all drank, but 300 of them still looked about. They still didn't just dump their heads into the water to take care of their fleshly needs. They still looked about while they took care of their fleshly needs. They got the water because their flesh needed it, but they still were on the ready. These 5 wise virgins, the flesh needed sleep. They still took the sleep, but they still were on the ready. So when the call came out, they rose up, they heard it, they trimmed their lamps, and they were ready, and they got in. The other 5 went back out into the world to buy and sell, did not make it. Important. Then you have Matthew 25:14-30, the parable of the talents. And we know how that goes. And like I said, the first commandment given to the creation was to be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply, not just having children, but to be fruitful and bountiful in whatever Yahweh has given your hand to do. Whatever talents, his gifts he's given you. This is why the word talent is used, because of these talents. Whatever gifts you have, we need to be fruitful in that. For what? For his sake, for his cause, for his name's sake. Not for us to be the star, but for the proliferation of the coming of the kingdom. We know that he with 5 did his job, he with 2 did his job. The one who had the 1 talent, what did he do? When you read the again, going to the original words, he hit the talent and he went out and lived his life. He didn't want to risk anything. He said, out of his own mouth said he feared Yahweh who reaped what he sowed and all that kind of stuff. Well, Yahweh has said hundreds of times, if not 1,000 times throughout the word, do not fear. We know that Yahweh did not create us with a spirit of fear. So this man who said out of his own mouth that he was in fear with this 1 talent, he didn't want to lose it, then whose spirit was in him? If Yahweh sure says he did not create us with a spirit of fear, and this man said out of his own mouth that he had fear, then whose ruach was in him? This is why he hid his 1 talent instead of being fruitful with it. And in the meantime, because also the narrative says that he was, that the owner was gone for a long time. So this man was enjoying his life for a long time, not discerning the times. Not discerning that his master was going to be coming soon. And before he knew it, the parousia was on him. And he did not hear the words, well done, you good and faithful servant. The personal appearance, the parousia of the Son of Man was on him. And that's what this narrative is about. It's not about the coming from the clouds when the heavens open up. This is not that coming. This coming of the Son of Man is an intimate one, a personal one. Wow. Then we come on to the final parable. They all 3 are the same. This is Matthew 25:31-46, the sheep and the goats. Once again, we got the sheep and the goats. All of them are at the right place, at the right time, apparently for the same thing. That is the difference. You have, again, we don't have Hebrews versus Islam or anybody keeping all the Eastern religions or anybody talking about no trash Catholicism or Christianity or Judaism. No, these are all so-called saints, Kadashim, Hebrews, who supposedly be keeping the Torah. So we got sheep and goats. They all are there because they perceive themselves to have kept the Torah. They are before the groom, so they know whom they serve. They got the right man, just like the virgins did. Yet half of them got a shocker. Actually, all of them was surprised. The sheep put on the right was surprised, not that they were saved, but for what reason? The reason that Yahweh should said out of his own mouth because they helped the poor and the needy, and they visited the sick. They clothed the naked. They fed the hungry. And they're like, wow, that's why we're saved, but we just did that because that's just what was needed to be done. That was what's natural in them. Well, Yahweh Shua says, you know what? That was me. Then you got the goats who put on to the left and sent to perdition. Why? Because they did not discern. They did not have genosekos. They did not recognize or perceive that the one that they did not feed or clothe or take care of or house or visit That was the true keeping of the Torah. They thought they were going in because they kept 660 something commandments. And that did not get them in. This is why Yahweh should use the example. You can't get any clearer than that when he used the example of the Good Samaritan. Matthew 22:34-40. When all the priests and those who keep the law walked past the man who was half dead to go and keep the feast days. The only one that stopped was the Good Samaritan. So the others went to Jerusalem to practice the law. Only the Good Samaritan stopped to actually do the works of the law and help this man. You can't get any more clear than that of what righteousness is. Righteousness is not going to the temple and practicing 600 plus commandments. Righteousness is using your hands and your means and your talents and your gifts to help those in need, who do not have what you have, who do not know what you know, and cannot see what you see. That is what it is. You can't get any more plainer than that. Where James talks about in James 2:17, you show your faith by your works. You got to have that extra olive oil. You got to be fruitful, multiply. You got to help others. This is what it is. Not walking past somebody who is in need and going to keep the commandments. Yahweh, forgive me, have mercy on me. For me not having discernment at times when I could have been there to help. I plead the dome of Yahweh over me, that I will love you as you ought to be loved and love your image, dear Father. Because that's why I'm here. May Yahweh for Hebrews and Christians continue to flourish. And I bless your name. We now are up to 80 subscribers. I pray that you support, subscribe, and share this word. And I finish up with Matthew 24:46. Yahweh Shua says, blessed is that servant when he returns that finds doing the works that the Good Samaritan did. Because you know, those who say they love Yahweh, because we do not know the exact hour of his return. We do know the day, but we don't know the hour. You should know the day, but you may not know the hour. But because we don't know the exact hour, we watch, we discern. And while we're doing that, there's an act of watching. We work, and we be fruitful in the vineyard of our master. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Now that's going to take us to the end of Tuesday morning. And we're going to go to, we haven't gone to the book of John too much during this ministry. We're going to go to John next week, Yahweh willing, and do a summary of this. And then, wow. Then we got Wednesday and Thursday. Actually, on Wednesday, Yahweh sure rested, it seems. We don't have much to put there, but we're moving on. We only have a few more sessions of this B'milotah Shali series. Please support, subscribe, and share. Until then, Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you.